Wow. That was a season 7 premiere. Holy crap. I just got done watching The Walking Dead season premiere, as most of you have guessed. And it was probably the best episode for The Walking Dead that I've ever seen. Ever. Like, this is it. This is the best episode I've ever seen for The Walking Dead for several reasons. But we're going to go through the episode. By the way, if you check out this video here, you will see me predict this episode for who is dying straight through. In fact, I even called the surprise kill, and I said it would be a surprise. So I pretty much predicted that. The only thing I got wrong was Rick losing his hand, and they did kind of play through that with attempting to take Carl's hand. But if you check the video, you'll see I had both Abraham and Glenn pegged as dead men. So I called both of them, both died. But we'll get to that. I just wanted to start by going through the episode and kind of talk about how great some of the scenes were, and the psychological aspects to it and everything were just awesome. I love this episode. Let's go through it. First things first, we saw the trailer, basically, that they showed already as the opening scene, where he takes Rick after having blood on his face, kind of talks to him, takes him with a hatchet in his hand, and kind of just drags him into the trailer, and then shuts the door. So, and of course they go to the title and everything, the whole theme song, and then it breaks the commercial. People on Twitter, of course, freaking out. Still don't know who's died. Okay, that's fine. So then we come back from commercial, and now we have Rick and Negan traveling somewhere. He's starting the RV up. He's saying, hey, your best bet is to grab that hatchet, hit me in the back of the head with it now while you can. So, of course, Rick, without thinking too much about it, grabs the hatchet, goes to hit him with it, turns around, counters him, hits him in the stomach with the gun, takes the hatchet, and just kind of puts Rick in his place. That's what this whole point of this episode is, trying to establish Negan as the top villain that they've ever seen. And they wanted to get it done in an episode, just less than a full hour of video, just get it done. Negan is the boss, and he's the biggest bad guy they've ever seen. So right away, he puts Rick in his place, which he's going to do several more times. Puts him in his place. They stop the RV. He takes the hatchet, throws it out the door. Tons of zombies everywhere. Basically says, "Hey, go get my hatchet. All right, we're gonna be friends, but you go get my hatchet." And of course, Rick sees this as he's turning him into his servant, essentially. You know, hey, go get that. I threw it out there, bunch of zombies, but I want my hatchet back, so go get it. So here's Rick realizing that he needs to go do this, or more people may die, or he may die. Remember, he left his son and all of his closest allies back at this camp unarmed, with people with guns basically ready to kill them. So of course he realizes, hey, I have to go get this hatchet. Goes outside. Of course Negan takes the door, boom, shuts it. Negan's inside, leaves Rick outside to get this hatchet with tons of zombies everywhere. So a great scene. He's mist everywhere from dawn, and you see Rick just fighting through zombies, getting this hatchet, gets it, and then climbs up onto the RV. And at this point he's stuck. He's on top of the RV, nothing he can do, so he lays down, and he just starts thinking about what happened. So we see flashbacks, Negan walking around pointing at people with the bat, of course, doing his eeny, meeny, miny, mo thing. And at this point, Rick is kind of realizing that you know, someone has died at least. And yes, someone did die. One person so far. So he kind of goes through it a little more in his head, and then Negan realizes, you know, Rick's kind of laying down on the job up on top of the RV, so he takes his gun, starts shooting, you know, warning rounds through the RV. Rick gets up, runs, jumps onto this zombie that's kind of hanging by their throat, like basically they were hung themselves just to kill themselves, and he's hanging there, starts falling down. These zombies are reaching up and grabbing him, starts falling down, and at the last minute, Negan kicks the back door open, or the back window, and just starts laying out zombies with his AK-47 or whatever he has. Zombies hit the ground. Rick gets up, runs in with the hatchet, you know, has the hatchet, says, here. And then, you know, Negan hits him with his kind of famous line from the, you know, the comic books, when he says, "Attaboy." So we go to commercial again. More people freaking out on Twitter. We still don't know who has been killed at all. We still just see flashbacks now and then. And then finally we get back from commercial, and they give us the reveal. They see him going around pointing again with the bat, and then he stops, pointing straight at Abraham. And then he plays the whole scene out. He says, hey, you know, you can cry, whatever you want to do, but I'm gonna hit you with this bat and you're gonna die, so sit there. Just takes this huge swing, boom, hits Abraham straight in the top of the head, right here. Boom, blood, chunks of his head missing, and they don't let Abraham go out you know, like a bitch, basically. They don't do that. He looks up and he says, hey, you know, suck my nuts, basically. And then, you know, of course, Negan finds this funny because it's just funny to him, I guess. He's going to beat him in the head anyway. He says, hey, that's funny. And then just starts hitting him again, beating him. Cut away from this as people are crying, so they show all the reactions of all the people around him. You know, of course, Rosita's crying real bad, of course, but then you have Eugene with his eyes closed like this, you know, and he just beats him until he's just a mush. And you see his body, and then up at the top, it's just mush, just brain, guts, gore everywhere. So at that point, you know, Abraham's dead. So that's the first one I called, said, hey, Abraham's going. He's number one. Everyone kind of sitting there. Daryl, of course, gets up, because Daryl, as much as people say Rick's a good leader, honestly, Daryl, he wouldn't take crap like that from anyone before. He's not going to take it now. Gets up, takes a massive swing, boom, punches Negan right in the face. Negan thinks this is funny also, but he realizes, hey, this is a chance for me to punish them again. They have to get into their head that I'm the boss, and they have to follow everything I say. No disrespect to me at all. They have to follow everything I do. So Daryl gets pulled away, and then Negan starts talking about, hey, you know, I gave you guys one, but we can't do this again, so somebody has to get killed. Turns around, surprise of the episode for a lot of people. I kind of saw this coming as a surprise kill. Turns around, bashes Glenn's head in right there. Catches everyone off guard completely. Glenn falls down, looks back up, has the signature look from the comic books. Now, if you've seen the comic books, you know what I'm talking about. Signature look where his eyeball here is coming out of his head. I thought it was awesome. Great callback to the comics. Of course, his head is dented in here, blood everywhere, coming out of his mouth, everything. Eyeball coming out, looks exactly like the comics. Awesome. I like Negan's response to this, saying it's disgusting as shit, basically. Loved it. Negan takes the bat again, just starts pulverizing him with it. Great. Same part, you see normal looking body, then just brain gush and gore and stuff at the top from far away. Awesome, awesome, awesome scene. I loved it. Of course, Maggie has pretty much lost it. She's traumatized. She just watched what essentially was her husband, basically, just get destroyed by Lucille. Awesome scene. Everyone just completely wiped, traumatized, don't know what to do. And what was great was in the episode we still see all of the death scenes that they shot for the other people, because the whole point of the producers shooting death scenes for all the characters was so the characters wouldn't know who died, and they didn't. So they show all of the opening hits on every character for Rick to kind of flash back as a what if scenario, because at that point he's helpless. He could have picked anyone. He could have picked Carl, he could have picked Michonne, could have picked Daryl, and they show everyone getting smacked in the side of the head with the bat and just blood coming out of their head. It was great. So they found a way to use all of that footage that they talked about, and it was awesome just to see what if scenarios, I guess. Hey, what if Carl got hit with the bat? Boom, there it is, you know? And it was a great flashback scene. People were confused online at the time, thinking, did everyone just die? No, they were just flashbacks or what ifs, like what could have happened. He realizes at this point, Rick knows that he's helpless. He can't do anything. Negan is the boss. But Negan's not happy yet. He needs to instill this to the point where Rick looks visibly shaken. Nothing he can do is going to basically going to change Negan's mind for anything. Negan says something, it gets done with no backtalk. So he sees Rick, sees that he still kind of looks okay. That's not good enough. So what's he do? Everyone gets a gun pointed at their back of their head, all of his allies, and then he calls Carl over. Now, this is what I liked about this episode. Carl actually came out looking the strongest out of everyone. This kid who's, you know, supposed to be 14 or 15, maybe 16 in the episode, and you have all these adults, but Carl looks the strongest out of everyone because he looks at Negan, doesn't look super sad or anything, looks really mad at Negan. Doesn't walk over at first, basically kind of gives him a look like, what do you want? You know, and then Negan says, hey, over here now. And Carl still just kind of goes, all right, so he walks over. The whole time, Negan is strapping his arm up. You only do that if you're going to cut somebody's arm off or some limb off right there to cut blood flow. So he's tying this. He's asking, is that tight? Is that tight? Carl's like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. He lays him down. He marks it right there. He's like, it's going to get cold. He's like, that's fine, whatever. You know, so Carl doesn't care. He just says, hey, do what you want. In his mind, he's like, because I'm going to find a way to kill you. Just like how Rick was earlier. So at this point, his arm's down, just straight like this on the ground. Mark here. He gives Rick the hatchet. Says, you need to cut your son's arm off here or everyone in your crew is dead. We're just gonna start shooting them. He has them point the gun at the back of their head so it'll come out the front of their head so it looks all bad. And he's like, you need to cut this arm off or everyone dies. And then, so Rick is, of course, not sure. He's like, I don't know, and he's visibly shaking, starting to almost cry a little bit, sweating real bad. His head's shaking real bad. Carl looks up at him, he says, it's okay, do it. So this 16-year-old kid that has his arm down, line drawn, axe up here, telling Rick to do this is much more resilient than everybody else kneeling down and waiting basically for this to happen. It's more resilient than even Daryl, who takes a shot at Negan, to me, because he looks definitely the most calm and collected about everything, because he knows his time will come and he will get Negan if he can. So at this point he says, go ahead and do it, it's fine, I'm okay. And of course Rick is freaking out, as what to do. And then Negan stops him and says, hey, that's the look I was looking for right there. I wanted that terrified, that fear, you freaking out. You understand who the boss is. And of course Rick is like, yeah, I understand. And that's all he wanted. He just wanted Rick to know that Negan is the boss and there's no questions asked. So when he comes back looking for stuff, so he's gonna visit them every week now. So he tells them, I'm coming back every week. You're gonna have food and supplies ready for me. And I'm gonna come by, I'm gonna collect them, I'm gonna leave. Essentially implying if it's not there, we're gonna have problems. So he's gonna come by. In the comics, he took half of everything. So he left half for them, he took half. So in the comics, he would visit different places, and we'll probably see that because after the episode is over, we did see glimpses of the kingdom, which is from the comics, and we'll see that. We'll see glimpses of the kingdom, and we'll probably see them ally with Alexandria and the Hilltop. But not to get too far ahead, we're gonna keep going. We see at that point, we see Negan's men's leaving, and we see kind of the aftermath, everyone kneeling, crying, and that's expected. And I just like how established Negan is, and he's established in less than 40 minutes of actual airtime. It's amazing. Like, he is by far the best villain they've had in Walking Dead so far, and they could have done this without the comics. I mean, honestly, if people didn't know who he was and he came in and did all of this, the psychological warfare, the physical warfare, everything, it was great. He just made himself dominant from the start, right away. I think they picked the perfect actor to play him in Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And honestly, the camera shots, everything, it was awesome. Best episode I've seen of Walking Dead. They started this season with a bang, killing off 2 people, and it was great. I wish they had taken Rick's hand. They didn't. It's fine. Honestly, on Negan's part, it makes no sense to cut off his hand. He'll be less useful to him then, although he might be harder for him to kill him then, but he's less useful to him at that point. Because now, their job is to work for Negan, collect supplies, and every week they go there and they get free supplies. So at the end, we see them all kind of collect themselves. They all start leaving. Maggie doesn't want to leave. She wants to go off from the group. So Sasha decides, hey, I'll go with her and I'll help her. We'll get, wherever she's going, we'll get her there. So Sasha, Maggie are going off. Everyone else is going to go back to Alexandria, collect themselves, and based on the previews from the season, start collecting supplies for Negan. Awesome episode. I'm going to watch it again. It was touching in a lot of ways, and you just saw how powerful Negan is, and there was no other way to establish a villain like that without doing this. No other way. You need Negan to come in from day one and basically kill someone instantly. And he did. And he did the big surprise kill, which I think really, really hurt the group with Glenn. I think it hurt a lot of viewers too, so he really, I think, tugged at some heartstrings for people who liked Glenn, realized his baby is not going to have a father now. Great episode. Gonna go watch it again. So definitely subscribe down below. I'll do this for every episode, every week. We'll have some fun. Follow us on Twitter as well as Spawnwave Media. We live tweet during the show. And overall, guys, I hope you liked it. It's going to be a great season. Looks really good. And I will see you guys next week with another review of an episode. Hopefully it's less sad. But man, I am really looking forward to the season of Negan. So I'll see you guys then.